Hey everyone, Joe Martin here with Real Men Connect, where we help good men become godly men by connecting them to successful husbands, great fathers, and strong spiritual leaders. Today, as you can see, I'm not in my car today. I'm actually in my man cave, so a little bit safer today. But I want to talk to you just briefly about a topic that you hear talked about a lot, but no one ever really kind of dissects it. It's about hearing from God. Now, I'm not trying to get super spiritual or too deep, but this is a common question I get asked even by people who are not true believers and followers of Christ, but they have an interest and they want to know more about developing a relationship with God. But I wanted to make it a little bit basic and clear because I try to make things plain. My background is in education. So my thing is try to take the complex and make it simple for people. And one of the most common questions that I get asked as a Christian is, Joe, how do you know if you're really hearing from God? And I try to break it down this way. Again, I'm sure other people may have their own opinions, but I think this is a good place to start. Personally, I believe that there are three voices that you actually hear. And pretty much we can probably be able to make the distinction if we think of it in these three ways. One is going to be a voice from God himself, from the Holy Spirit, that gives us guidance and leads us in all truth. And then that's one voice, the Holy Spirit. Two, we have the second voice, which is our voice, our conscience, for lack of a better word, our flesh, the things that we think in our heads and we feel in our heart, and we let that lead us. And then we have the third voice, which I'm sure you know now is obviously the voice that comes from the enemy, that comes from Satan. Now, the question is, how do you know which voice is which? Well, basically, when I share with other people, especially new believers who have just given their life to Christ, I tell them, obviously, we are to listen for the Holy Spirit, but how do you make that distinction between God and the Holy Spirit and ourselves, our conscience, and then the enemy? Well, I like to put it in the simple terms this way. If you are faced with a decision and something that you have to do, when we're talking about a tough decision now, something that you have to do or something that you're exposed to and you're faced with a decision. If the decision or whatever the thing you're thinking about doing is self-serving, and it only benefits you, then I can pretty much guarantee you that's probably more than likely coming from the enemy. If it looks good, feels good, it tastes good, and it feels good to me, more than likely, if it's only going to serve me and not benefit another person, then it's probably coming from the enemy. Now, the second voice, how do you know if the voice is yours, if it's coming from your head and your heart, but not coming from the Holy Spirit? Well, the first voice with the enemy is self-serving. I believe that if you're faced with something that you want to do, and it's a good thing, however, it is self-preserving, and it makes you comfortable and safe. Now, it doesn't hurt anybody, and it's not necessarily selfish, but it has you in mind of protecting yourself, keeping you comfortable, staying in your comfort zone, that it doesn't hurt and bother anybody. And so that normally is a voice that's coming from within. That's you. Because our natural inclination as human beings is to protect ourselves. So it's self-preserving. So you have self-serving, which is from the enemy, self-preserving, which is for us. And I think you can probably guess now how you can distinguish hearing the Holy Spirit and the word that comes from God, his truth, is when you're faced with a decision and it's a good choice, but it's self-sacrificing and it benefits others as well as benefits you later in how you feel on the inside. But it's self-sacrificing where it costs you something. In other words, it requires you to step out of your comfort zone and allows you not to have to rely on your own strength, but to rely on his strength, which is faith and believing in things that you don't see and things that you're hoping for. And so that's how you can make that distinction. So you have one, self-serving, which is from the enemy, self-preserving, okay, which is from our own conscience, and self-sacrifice, where you're serving others. That usually is an indication that it comes from the Holy Spirit. Now, I'm sure that I would love to hear what your insights and what your input is on how you can make that distinction, especially if you are a mature believer and you're a real man. I would love to get your insights on how you make that distinction. And if you want to give some feedback, just put your comments down in the comments below and let others be able to read it and hear from you on how you listen to the Spirit. So again, Just a quick moment. I thought I'd share that with you and at least have it on our blog. So if anybody has ever questioned that, they can always find it. So remember that we are males by birth, but we are men by choice, because a male is a terrible thing to waste. So keep coming back, and we'll see you on Real Men Connect again. God bless. Stay in his grip.